How far have Arsenal got with this, David?
Well, the situation all revolves around Manchester City's pursuit of Erling Haaland, because the likelihood is there's going to be an opportunity for Gabriel Jesus to leave this summer if City get Haaland, which we expect them to do, or another striker if they don't. Then with Jesus coming towards the end of his contract, he's approaching his final 12 months. He's had limited game time at City, of course, and there haven't been any sort of suggestions that he'll be signing a new deal. Then that gives the opportunity for clubs to take him. Arsenal have been fans of him for a while. Mikel Arteta knows him well from working at City. Edu knows him well, who's Arsenal's technical director, because he's also Brazilian, of course. Edu is close to the representatives of Gabriel Jesus from the time that Edu spent working at Corinthians and, of course, the Brazil national team. And I understand that they have been talking for a number of months about this possibility, to the extent that that part of negotiations, from what I hear, is pretty much done and dusted. But there has been no contact, to my knowledge, so far between the clubs. So that's obviously a significant step that would need to be taken. But the early indications are that this is a move Gabriel Jesus would be open to. And he is the profile of striker that Mikel Arteta is looking to bring in. I think they want to bring in two forwards, and the way he kind of can drop deep from the striker position and also pull wide is something that appeals to them. So as things stand, Arsenal are the favourites to sign Gabriel Jesus, but nothing is done.
So who else are they looking at, both in forward areas, but also where else are they looking to strengthen?
Well, Arsenal have got a number of priorities for the summer, and it would largely, I guess, depend on what European competition they're playing in. But the striker department is key, because they're set to lose Alexander Lacazette and Eddie Nketiah, who are both out of contract. And there's equally no news on whether they might renew or not. The current expectation is that they won't. So that's why the idea of two forwards has come about. And then a central midfielder has been on the agenda for quite some while, the sort of number 6, number 8, maybe someone that can operate in both roles. There have been links and admiration for Ruben Neves, for example, Yuri Tielemans, and a number of others. And then in terms of elsewhere, it will depend on movements out of the club potentially, such as what's going to happen with the future of Hector Bellerin, if and when he comes back from his loan spell at Real Betis. Will they need to bring in some fullback cover for Takehiro Tomiyasu? Will they look to bring in a wide forward, which was on the agenda a while ago, somebody that can sort of position themselves on the left and cut in onto their right foot, but the progress of Emile Smith-Rowe and Gabriel Martinelli may have mitigated that. I think Edu spoke to Brazilian television before the Manchester United match and said they're looking really to only make a couple of sort of higher profile signings, having done a pretty major rebuilding job in recent transfer windows. So maybe it's come to the point where Arsenal feel they just need to sort of finesse their squad with some top level signings. And I would never rule out them bringing in some younger players, because that seems to be something that they've been quite keen on in Edu and Arteta's time at the club. And of course, Mark, they will have alternative options, because they don't want to put all of their eggs in the Jesus basket, and they may need more, as I've mentioned. One of the players that we understand they have admiration for is Dominic Calvert-Lewin. We've reported that before, and they'll be monitoring closely what happens at Everton, of course, and also whether he sort of returns to form, because he's not had the best season. It's been a little bit disrupted by injuries, but he does have admirers at the Emirates Stadium. And there will be other names too. It's a bit of a fluid picture. They had interest in the likes of Vlahovic and Isak during the January transfer window. Vlahovic went to Juventus. Isak has not had a good season at Real Sociedad, and I don't know if they are still sort of in the mix for him. And we're going to watch this closely, because the elite level of strikers, when you're talking about the likes of Erling Haaland, Harry Kane, Kylian Mbappe, Lautaro Martinez, Robert Lewandowski, there's a good chance that very few of those will be moving in the window, despite the speculation around all of them. Christian, Christopher and Kunku as well. So clubs may look to this bracket down. And I mentioned in the Monday column, Marcus Thuram is within that, for example. And the valuations are perhaps a bit more realistic. There can be some gems that may not have gained quite the appreciation that some of the more high-profile names have. And I think that bracket is going to be more intense in terms of movement than the one above. And I do suspect that Arsenal will be within that. Edu said in that interview with Brazilian television that he has his plans in place already, that they have been submitted to and approved by the Arsenal board. So we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, as far as this report goes, I mentioned Gabriel Jesus, and the other source of interest which continues is Dominic Calvert-Lewin. The rest we'll just have to wait and see and try to bring to you on The Athletic.